Hello, hello, welcome in. We're going to start in a few moments as folks get in, but welcome to our family U chat about moving. As you all are entering, we'll give you a second to kind of get settled before we get started. All right. So it looks like we're right at noon. It seems like folks are still joining, but they will still get their great information. So, welcome to our Family U Chats series, which is our webinar series for parents and families. It's where we talk with really important campus partners to make sure that you get the information that you need. And so we'll do these throughout the semester. But we always like to start off with something that is really important and really timely, and it's our move in webinar. And so today we're going to be talking about all things fall move-in. You'll learn about how to prepare, what you need to do. You'll get a chance to answer questions. And so there's a lot of folks here who are really here to help you. And so it is my pleasure to introduce Dawn Bond, and she's going to talk to you about moving.
Hi, everyone. Dawn Bond from Operational Services. My team and I coordinate fall move-in, and we're super excited about the opportunity to either welcome you to campus at your first move-in or welcome you back for a second, third, or fourth move-in. And so we have a short presentation today that we are going to share screen on, and I will run through. It's about 25 minutes of me talking. I will go very quickly because I want to save time at the end for your questions. We did host a webinar yesterday, and one of the things that we learned is that students and families do have some very specific questions about the room setups and measurements, specifically about room types, and that's not going to be something we're going to cover in this session. It's not something that we have access to necessarily. There are over 18,000 rooms on our campus, and they do vary from residential area to residential area. However, on our website at UMass Living /your room, we do have the standardized furniture dimensions on our website. And so that is something you can navigate to on your own at a different time if you have specific questions about the standard furniture in most of our student rooms. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the move-in aspect, and we'll share screen on our presentation now. Awesome. And so this week, Monday, you or your student found out where they will be living for fall. Assignment release day was August 5th. Next week, Monday, we will be moving into our move-in reservation time. On Monday, August 12th, all students will have the ability to make or view an assigned reservation. On Monday, however,
Sorry to interrupt you. We forgot to say that your team's going to be answering questions in the
oh,
Q&A.
sorry. Yep.
We both forgot, and so I wanted to remind
Sorry.
you before you got too deep in it. So
Yep.
if you have questions while Don is talking, you can ask the questions, and the staff behind the scenes will be answering those questions individually.
Right. And I would add to Jonathan's comment about we will be answering questions, that we answered many questions in the Q&A yesterday before I got to that in my presentation. And so if I could ask for your patience on questions around move-in and aspects of move-in before I get to it, that would be wonderful. I have an awesome team, but we found that we were answering things that I was going to get to at some point in this about 20-minute presentation. All right, so let's rock and roll. So on August 12th, move-in reservation will be available on Spire. Your student will either be able to make or view an assigned move-in reservation time. There are two different ways that we use the move-in reservation. Some of our residence halls, you have the ability to select from open half-hour time slots on the move-in days, or you may be viewing an assigned time. So it's important to understand that if your student is assigned to a Southwest Tower, any building in the Sylvan residential area, or any building in Commonwealth Honors College, they have already been assigned a move-in time. We use a professional moving company to move those three types of buildings in because they are a little challenging for our minute mover teams to do so. If your student lives in any other building on campus besides the ones that I've just listed and you can view here on the screen, then your student will be selecting from available times, half-hour time slots that are on the day that your building is moving in. On Monday, August 12th, not all buildings start at 9 a.m. The first 2 years we did move-in reservation, we truly crashed Spire because too many people logged on right at the very moment when 9 a.m. started. And so we stagger the buildings on throughout the day for the move-in reservation to start for that building. The schedule for when the buildings start on that day is listed on our website. On August 26th, we will start transitioning students who are already here into their fall assignments, and we will also begin to check in our early arrival groups. And those are unassisted move-ins on August 26th. There will be bins available to be signed out, but that is a day where students move themselves in. On August 28th, 29th, and 30th, those are the 3 days that we do our centralized move-in process where we do assisted move-in, and I will spend most of this presentation's first half talking about those 3 days. So we do have a checklist here that we think is helpful as you're beginning to prepare and plan for coming to campus for fall. It is important that you are orienting yourself to how the day will work. We have both routes to the check-in locations and routes mapped out from check-in location to every specific residence hall, and then after the belongings are unloaded out of the car, from the unload zone to the parking lot that we have designated for that hall. And so the top and the bottom on these checklists speak to those routes and those directions. And it is super important that the family as a team understands that there is a very structured process that you'll follow to either come to campus to get to your check-in location or to travel after you've been checked in. There are not enough signs in the world to put down on the ground to help with that. And so we do have some signage down, but we do have the expectation that folks will be familiar with their travel routes as they approach the move-in day. It is important that your student will print and bring their boarding pass. I will show you an example of that in just a moment. And if for any reason you are bringing a second car to campus, the driver of the second car it would be beneficial for them to also have a copy of that boarding pass because there's a QR code that takes you directly to the maps. Please have your student bring their U-card or a photo ID with them. Please pack and travel. Remember, we only unload one car at move-in during centralized move-in, assisted move-in, and only one car will be allowed in the unload zone for unpacking. So again, there are many reasons to bring a second car. There should not be any belongings that need to be moved in the second car unless they're very light and easy to carry from the parking lot. I've already talked about following the directions, and the second car should follow the first car through the queue. We have found that that's the most helpful, organized way for a family to move in if they're coming in more than one car. The next thing that you will see is a copy of the boarding pass that your student will print. There is a barcode on this boarding pass. That's the most important part of the boarding pass, that we will need to take this piece of paper from your student when they arrive so that we can scan that barcode and then affiliate it with the barcode that is on your student's key envelope. As you can see, there's also a QR code here. That QR code will take you to all of the maps for every single residence hall, and then you'll navigate to your student's residence hall to find the specific directions that you'll use leaving the check-in location to the hall, and then from the hall after unload to the parking. That QR code can also be used for the second car driver so that they know where they're taking that car after it leaves the check-in location. And then lastly, there's a large map depending on what side of campus you'll be checking in on the map. You're either checking in at east check-in location or west check-in location. More to come there. We do have some tips for what to bring and some options for students. We have a relationship with a preferred vendor called Microfridge, and you may want to consider renting a microfridge. Those items do take up a lot of space in the car and do have to be lugged up and down the stairs or up and down in the elevator at move in and move out. And so that may be something you'd like to consider for your student and sharing the cost with the roommate. We also host a large new to you tag sale the Saturday after move in concludes. That will be the same day as the football game is happening on our campus. This is a tag sale of belongings that we've collected at May move out this past May as students were moving out and no longer needed these items or they no longer fit in the car. We took custody of them and cleaned them up and tagged them and hold a giant tag sale. So look for more information about the new to you tag sale as we get closer to move in. It will be hosted in Southwest in the Hamden building. Lastly, I would like to point out the luggage program. The luggage program is for our out-of-state and international students to ship ahead boxes that are directly shipped from you to us. We will hold them at the distribution center and make every effort to have them in your students' room before their arrival. There are also items that you are not allowed to bring, and so it's important that you take a look at that list on our residential policies page. And for the most part, they are hazardous items that either have safety concerns or fire hazard concerns. There are some essentials that we have listed here, but we have an over 2-page list also on our website by category for your consideration. So you might want to jump onto the website and take a look at that. We do have a relationship with the linens program, which is a package of linens and bedding and towels and shower items. So that may be something you're interested in purchasing. The next item I'd like to point out are a fan. We have only 2 residential areas that have air conditioning. Honors College and North Apartments are the only 2 facilities with AC. And so all the rest of our residence halls can get hot in September. And so it's important to think about bringing a fan or 2 so that you can rotate air in your room or your student's room. And lastly, I'd like to point out the iClicker. The iClicker is a classroom tool that is listed where the textbooks for the class are listed. The place where you find that on Spire is listed here. And the iClicker is sometimes used very first day of class. And so you should not wait to order that very, very close to move in and expect for it to be delivered here at UMass. The first several weeks of September, we experience very heavy package load, and sometimes those iClickers can get caught up in that package log. So it is best to review that now and order that iClicker ahead and have it with you when you arrive. I've mentioned this now at least once. I will mention it about 4 more times, and I can pretty much guarantee I'll get asked a question about it at the end of the session. We only unload 1 car. And so if you are bringing 2 cars, that's perfectly fine. Just have the expectation that that car will not be allowed at the unload zone. You will not be able to borrow a bin to move items from the parking lot that you're parked in, and should probably just have people in it so that those people can walk from the designated parking lot to your student's residence hall to help them unpack and get settled. If you do bring a second car, we will notice that because you will come through the check-in queue with your student and the second car following. And if we see that there are lots of items in that car, we will make the suggestion that you pull over like we did with this family. My favorite part of this picture is the dad's posture and sort of his like, oh boy, here we go. So what this family's trying to do here is move some belongings out of one car into another so that we can assist with as many of those belongings as possible in the primary first car. If you do bring items in a second car, we want you to be this family. You can see here, this was not staged. They did park in Southwest in lot 22 or 33, and they're walking in very light items. And so if you do put some items in the second car, please be sure that they're very light and able to be carried. On the east side of campus, there are 3 residential areas, north, northeast, and Sylvan, where the parking lots that we have access to park families after unload or to park second cars are a little bit further away than we would desire. And in order to account for that, we do run a shuttle all 3 days from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And you are able to jump on that shuttle. It circulates constantly throughout each of those day 1, day 2, and day 3, and they go from lots 31 and 68 up to Northeast, drop off there, up to Sylvan, drop off there. They turn around and just keep looping all day long. So please take advantage of the shuttle that we run on that side of campus. If your student is coming by taxi, Uber, or Peter Pan, we also run a shuttle from the Bromry Center for the Arts. It's pictured here, and we will take you the last mile. And so we do have staff volunteers who operate this shuttle. We will pick your student up with their luggage and whatever belongings they have with them and take them through the check-in process right to their unload zone. And so again, that shuttle will run all 3 days during move-in. There are some students who are already here and will transition from a summer housing assignment to a fall housing assignment, and those students will transition on August 25th or August 26th. And so they will get detailed information about how to do that transition, but I just wanted to note that we do recognize there are some students who are already here and will transition. If this is your family, then we suggest that you come at the times listed here to bring the additional items. You will not be able to access the residence halls during 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. on any one of the 3 move-in days or have access to the unload zone or elevator. And so we are suggesting that you come after 6 p.m. August 27th through the 30th or anytime August 31st through September 2nd. This is an example of a family moving in as an early arrival. Early arrival groups are approved and will see a move-in reservation for August 26th. They will pick from times available. And as early arrivals move in, they will drive to their residence hall, go to their residential service desk to get checked in and receive their key. If there is an elevator in your student's residence hall, they may sign out a bin if needed. And then you will have 20 minutes in the unload zone at your residence hall to unload. And then as soon as that car is unloaded, we do ask you to move it to the designated parking lot for your hall. We are now going to talk about the East check-in location and how to access it and what the steps are that you will experience. So the East check-in location will check in all residents from Northeast, North Apartments, Sylvan, Orchard Hill, and Central. You will approach the East check-in from the north. So if you are coming in on 116, you are literally going to pass the university and loop back around from the north, from North Amherst. If you're coming in on East Pleasant, you'll make your way down to Pine Street and then back onto North Pleasant Street and enter North Residential Drive from the north. We do not bring traffic down the center of our campus. We will create a traffic jam and bottleneck on our main artery. And so it's important that you follow the directions as they're outlined on our website. We have them listed out from you no matter what direction you're coming to the Amherst campus from. You'll enter North Residential Drive and follow the cones and signs up into the check-in location. At the first stop, your student will receive their key, and we will placard your windshield with information about your residence hall so that our partners from UMPD are able to help you navigate and know that you're either allowed or not allowed into that check-in location. The second stop on the east side is our great partners from Dining Services. We'll give you a snack bag and with some waters and snacks and fruit in there in case there's a little bit of a wait time in what we call our car call up. And our car call up is the last stage that happens out in the parking lot. And that's where we line you up by building and have you queue until there's a spot open at the unload zone for your student's residence hall. Once you are called off the car call up by our staff member, you will follow the designated route that we have listed on our website and you can access by the QR code on your student's boarding pass to your student's residence hall. Once you arrive, you will be assisted as you are moved in. On the west side of campus, all of the traffic going to the west check-in location will come off of 116, no matter what direction you're coming to from us, and you will enter onto Stadium Drive. Stadium Drive loops all the way around our sports fields and our football stadium. On the west side of campus, you will experience our dining partners and your snack bag first, because that was just a better place to put them, and then you'll loop around, and behind the actual football stadium is where we will check your student in and they will receive their key and we will placard the car. And then last step on both sides is the car call up, and that's where you will queue until you are called off of the car call up. And again, second cars will be directed to their parking location. For Southwest, it's right across the street, and so you don't have far to go. You'll park the car and walk. And then for Commonwealth Honors College, it's just past the Mullen Center in Lot 12. Everybody else who's being checked in into a residence hall will follow the specific directions that we have provided so you get to your residence hall. This is a really quick video. It's about a minute and a half long, and it is going to show you each check-in from the starting point to the end point. And here we go.
Hi, welcome to UMass. Can I have your U-card and boarding pass? Thank you. Right, I'll be right back with your key. Hey, I'm Natalie. Welcome to UMass. We're going to be moving you into school today.
I love that video. It makes me happy every time we show it. And so that was an example of East check-in location and a building being moved in by our Minute Mover team. And so there are two types of movers. We have students who come back early and help with most of our residence halls, unloading and assisting families to move in. And so Minute Movers will be part of the moving team. You and your family will be the other part of the move-in team. The only person who won't help move belongings into the building is the driver of the car. As soon as that car is empty of belongings, and we will use as many bins as it takes to get that car empty, the driver will move the car so that another family can be called to the unload zone from the car call up. The second type of moving team that we utilize on campus is our professional moving company. And again, as I indicated at the beginning of this presentation, students assigned to buildings where we use our professional moving company will be assigned a time so that they can move in each of those buildings by floor. This is a little bit different type of move-in. And in this situation, the family doesn't participate at all in unloading the car. The team will essentially swarm the car and begin to unload it into the bins. Each one of those bins will be labeled with your student's name and room number, and we will take chain of custody on those belongings. The whole family will leave the unload zone together, park, and return to the room. And in almost all cases, the belongings are waiting for you and your student to start to get unpacked. During move-in, we have made decisions about who uses the elevator and who does not. We are not able to move a building in one day and use the elevator for all residents. And so there are push patterns for every residence hall. And in all cases, we use the elevator for the upper floors, and some of the lower floors will be pushed to the closest stairwell and be moved in by carrying belongings up the stairs. And so don't make the assumption that if you look online and your student has an elevator, that you will be moving in using the elevator. I suggest that you really think about very comfortable footwear and clothing. We've had some truly hot days during move-in the last several years. That's why we also provide you with some water during the check-in process. But not every student, even if there's an elevator in the building, will be moved in using the elevator. And there are many buildings on our campus that do not have elevators. And so those buildings, everyone pushes to stairwell, lifts, and carries. After you arrive, we know that you are going to take some time to set up the room. First thing that we want to remind you about is to complete the room condition form. That is also on Spire. That is an inventory form that everything is as perfect as we think it should be and you expect it to be. If it is not, please indicate that using the room condition form so that there is no billing at the end of the year. If you need to report something that is significantly damaged or needs repair, please submit an online service service request. Examples of things that you would submit a service request for is if there is truly a piece of furniture missing, there's supposed to be two chairs and there's only one, a drawer will not close properly, a window won't crank open appropriately. Those are things that we do want to address as quickly as possible. Small things like there's a little chip in the paint on the wall, or a scuff on the paint somewhere. Those are not things that we would ever bill a student for and do not need to be reported through the online request form. If you are choosing to loft or bunk your beds after consulting with your roommate or roommates, there are lofting materials available in each residence hall. The location of those materials can be found on our website. We also provide safety bars if a student has their bed bunked or lofted and would feel safer with a safety bar, they would submit a service request for that to be delivered to the room. And then lastly, it is super important for you to know that every single residence hall on our campus has a sprinkler system, suppression system installed, and sprinkler heads are highly sensitive. And even a slight tap on a sprinkler head by a bed end being lifted up so that it can be bunked will set that sprinkler head into motion and will flood the entire room and many of the rooms adjacent by water going under the doors. And so please, please, please orient yourself to where the sprinkler heads are in your room before you start to move furniture around and set things up. You would never hang something from a sprinkler head or near a sprinkler head. We do want you to explore your new home. In each one of our residence halls, there is at least one hydration station, and we strongly encourage you to bring at least 2 reusable water bottles so that you can refill and reduce the number of single-use plastic bottles that are in our trash stream. There is a laundry room in every residence hall as well, and sometimes more than one, depending on the hall type. The laundry is different here than your laundry at home, and so it is important that your student read the instructions for how to use the machines that are posted in each of those laundry rooms. And in most cases, students will load money onto their U-card and tap at the device that's in the laundry room to pay for their laundry. There are also kitchens in our residence halls. Not all of them are equipped with an oven, but they do have a stovetop, microwave, and refrigerator freezer unit in each of them. There's rec space that varies from building to building, so take a look at that depending on where you live. Students also do receive letter mail in a actual mailbox that can be found in usually the lobby of the building, sometimes on the ground floor depending on the building type. And then for honors college students, it is adjacent to your residential service desk. There is a combination that is needed for you to navigate to open your mailbox. We have made video tutorials for each of the combinations types that will open the mailbox. If your student is having trouble with that, we can assist through the service desk operation. Students are expected to follow our sustainability practices by sorting their trash and using our single stream recycling bin to recycle. And there is recycling and trash locations in each of our residence halls. Some of them are inside the residence hall, some of them are outside. And so your student and you should navigate that, particularly as you're unpacking and probably producing waste, some of which can be recycled and some of which will go into the trash stream. We do have a service request process where for routine maintenance items, we will have your students submit an online request and we will address that concern as it's been outlined. There are a number of things that we consider emergency maintenance. Emergency maintenance is life safety, building safety. We would consider an overflowing toilet, a faucet that won't turn off, a lock mechanism that's not working, a smoke detector that's not operating properly, any broken glass. All of those are examples of emergency maintenance and should be called in immediately at our facility service center. We are open 24/7, 365 days a year, and we will send a response technician to address immediately and then bring in the appropriate staff as needed to make those repairs. We also have that available for requests outside of your residence hall. Lastly, we are going to talk about our residential service desk operation. That is also part of my team. There are 8 residential service desks They serve the 52 residence halls that we have on campus. Their functions are the following. They are able to help your student open their mailbox if they are having trouble doing that. They are the place that your student would go if they've misplaced or lost their room key or their U card. They can issue a backup key or a temp card. This is also where your student will go to pick up packages after they receive an email that a package is ready for them to be picked up. And new this year, we have installed hammock stands in some of our residential areas, and on the east side of campus specifically, you can sign out a hammock and enjoy those hammock stands that we just installed. I spoke of packages a few times, so it's important to note that the first several weeks of the semester, we experience very heavy traffic volume, and this is truly a picture of the first week in September, a year or so ago. We are buried in packages. We do our very best using our student staff team to work through these large package loads, and so it is important that if you're ordering textbooks that are necessary immediately, please choose the campus pickup, which is in our campus center location. If you do have important medications, please bring at least a 30-day medication prescription so that you have what you need. We do not want your prescription caught up in a picture like the one that you're seeing here. And we do not accept items over 40 pounds. And we do not take packages that require a 21 plus signature unless it's a laptop or cell phone and a pre-arrangement has been made ahead of time with your residential service desk. So we are definitely here to help. We want to assist you with having a very smooth move in and getting settled in your new home. Here I have included our email address as well as our telephone number. We are open Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And I am going to end talking for a moment and turn the program back over to Jonathan for some Q&A.
All right. Well, thank you, Dawn, for giving us that short presentation and answering maybe a lot of the questions that folks were going to have. I see only one question so far, but families, as you have questions, you can type them in the Q&A feature, and I will either ask them aloud or someone will type an answer to you. But the first question I see is about Amazon packages. We get this one a lot, and
Yep.
so I know that you know the answer to this.
I do. And
Yeah.
so we do not have a vendor relationship with Amazon, and so they are not a delivery vendor to our campus. You can buy anything you want on Amazon and purchase that through Amazon, but you need to select a different delivery method, and you can select UPS, USPS, FedEx as the delivery mode. And so this is an area that, especially on the family to family Facebook page, some parents are confusing other parents about this because they're saying, oh, I bought tons of stuff for my student on Amazon and they get it every time I order it. It's because they're selecting a different delivery vendor. Again, Amazon cannot direct deliver to our campus residence halls. We do not have a vendor relationship with Amazon. You can buy whatever you want from Amazon. You have to select a different delivery mode.
So can you talk about how long this process typically takes? I know this is something you're very proud of.
Mhm. We used to say under 90 minutes, and we have gotten so good at this. It truly is about an hour. Within about an hour. If it's a little more than that, then you can call me on that. I just showed you a video we made last year during move-in, and there wasn't one car waiting in car call up. And so we have really gotten efficient with our move-in process. And as long as I always say move-in at UMass is a team sport. And as long as everybody is coming at around the half-hour time slot that they were designated to arrive, we can keep our traffic flowing and our unload zones moving and our students being moved into their rooms.
Yeah. I think I've never seen this question, so I wanted to ask it aloud. Is when it comes to packing materials, how do folks dispose of them? What do they need to do with them? Are there certain locations they need to bring?
That's a great question. We actually do collect styrofoam and keep it out of this trash stream. There'll be locations typically outside the residence hall in a designated grassy area where you would put styrofoam so that we can keep that out of the trash stream. And then there are also designated places for cardboard. Cardboard should be sorted out of the single stream recycling. And there's also designated locations at every residence hall, again, typically outside, where you would put cardboard boxes that you've unpacked.
Yeah. So another really important question is if a family member or a student has a disability, how do they go about this move-in process?
Mhm. So students with disabilities typically will arrive early so they have more time, and it's less busy for them to move in, and they will get settled as early arrivals. Disability Services provides us with a list of those students' names, and so that's the student who lives with a disability. If there's a family member coming who lives with a disability, particularly a mobility disability, if there is an elevator in that building that is offline because it's being used for move-in, of course, there should be a request made for that person to be able to use the elevator, and in all cases, we will accommodate that for the person who lives with the disability.
Yeah, great. So the next question is if I am traveling and I'm not driving with family members, so I'm using a bus or anything like that, what do I need to do? Is there a special process for that?
Yep. If you're arriving by Peter Pan, Lyft, Uber, taxi, you want to be dropped off at the Brommery Center for the Arts, and then we will take you the last mile to through the check-in process to the residence hall, and you will get unloaded just like any other student would get unloaded and assisted as you moved in, as long as you're coming in on the 28th, the 29th, or the 30th.
This next question I think we can answer together, but is how long should families stay for after move-in?
Yeah. We don't have a limit on how long a family should stay. I would encourage you to talk with your student about how long they would like for you to stay. If your student has a meal plan, of course, I would encourage you to have a meal before you leave, because we are the #1 dining program in the country, 7 years running. And I'll turn it back over to Jonathan to talk about what's happening after students move in.
Yeah, so on the first day of move-in, we'll have a movie night with students and families, and so that families are welcome to attend that. It'll be a sunset movie next to our pond, so it'll be beautiful. And then the next day, we'll have a carnival that all students and families are welcome to attend. And then immediately after that, there's an event that we call One More Stop Before You Go, and it's an opportunity for families to write a postcard to their student, and that's really the end of our official programming for families and families. For students, we have a lot of things going on for the rest of the week. But as Don said, we're never going to kick you off campus. We're never going to say you have to leave your student right now. But that is the official end of what the programming we're going to do for families during welcome. Don, can you talk to us a little bit about refrigerators? Should students have multiple? What about the different sizes?
I can
What's that kind
definitely,
of look
I
like?
can definitely do that. So we're going to update this on our website. It says 3.0. We're not going to measure your refrigerator. I know now out in the market there's a 3.2 cubic refrigerator. Both of them are fine. Multiple refrigerators, because each roommate wants to have their own, is allowable. If it's a microfridge unit, those are a little bit bigger, and it may be possible for two roommates to share that. I think it is possible for them to share that. It's got a microwave, a freezer, and a refrigerator unit, and they are a little bit bigger than the 3.0 or 3.2 cubic ones. So, thing with refrigerators is they do take up a lot of space in the hall, and they oftentimes need to be carried up and downstairs. So again, I want to encourage you to think about possibly renting the microfridge unit. That'll be delivered before your student arrives. And at the end of the year, as long as it's unplugged and cleaned, microfridge will pick that up, and they're a little less hassle.
Great. Can we talk about all things U cards? So if they already have it, if they don't have it, if they're an international student, what process do
Absolutely.
they need to follow?
Absolutely. So any student who lives in the United States and could be mailed their card, so basically not international, and had an approved photo in by the beginning of this month, will have their U card mailed to them. Any student who did not have an approved photo before this week and or are international will pick it up when they arrive. For international students, we know that many of them will attend the orientation as new students to our campus, and we work with the U-Card office to take custody of international student U-Cards, and those students will get their U-Card when they check in as early arrivals at their residential service desk. The U-Card office will be open all 3 days of move-in from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And so students will be able to go to the U-Card office after they've checked in if they need to pick up a U-Card.
So the next question is about Dormify and if families can pick up their materials before move in. Do they need to pick it up and bring it, or do you all deliver it? Kind of how does that work?
Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to actually defer to my staff team on this. It is my understanding that this year, Dormify is not shipping directly to the campus for us to then place in the student's room. And so I can't see that question in there. And so what I'm going to have that person do is email us directly. So if one of my staff can pop in there and drop in the residential services email address. I do not believe Dormify is allowing for direct delivery to the campus this year.
All right. Great. And I see that somebody is doing that.
Thank you.
So if can you talk a little bit more about the luggage program and like where they can deliver that?
The luggage program has a PDF file with all of the instructions spelled out on our website. If you go to the Living website and click on the move-in button, it will take you to the luggage program instructions for this year. And so families who are thinking about using that, who are out of state or international, should read that and follow it step by step.
Mhm. So, can you talk to us a little bit about parking during move-in?
Mhm.
Where do they go? When do they need to move?
Mhm.
Will they be ticketed? All of those questions that typically come up.
Yep. So students, families who are moving their students in will go to the parking lots that we've designated for each of the residence halls. We do not do heavy ticketing during move-in times, of course. We know that families are moving in and need some time to help their student get settled. You should never park in a designated HP spot. We will ticket in tow unless you have a placard. And students who have a permit for on-campus parking, it's important to note that 2 of the very large student parking lots, lot 11 by Southwest and lot 44, where we host East Check-in, will be offline. And so you will receive a memo from Parking Services and our team on where your alternate parking is. Because there is also a football game on Saturday, August 31st, students that have parking permits for lot 11 and lot 22 and possibly 33 will also have to move their car to accommodate the tailgate and parking for the football game. So that's a little bit about parking, but it's important to adhere to any postings or signage that say that a lot is closed. Be aware of tow zone signs, anything that's tagged as a 20-minute unload zone, and you leave your car parked there, we will tow you. And so it's important to, and those are all adjacent to the residence hall. And it's obvious why we would tow you. We would tow you because that's the place that we need families to come in and park so we can get them unloaded. But as far as the adjacent parking lots where we have you go after you've unloaded, that there's light ticketing there.
Mhm. So the next question is a follow-up about that is do out-of-state students who are flying with their luggage rather than shipping have the same luggage storage options?
So if you're flying to move in, you'll be with your luggage. And when you arrive, we'd like for you to go to the Brommery Center for the Arts because we're going to pick you up with your luggage and take you through the check-in process. So you won't need to store your luggage anywhere.
What happens if someone arrives late?
If you arrive late outside of your 30-minute window, just keep coming. Something may have gotten in your way, and that's fine. We're going to check you in and get you checked in. If you arrive after 5 p.m. on any one of the check-in days, we do shut down right at 5 a.m. We need an hour window to break down and move the keys back to the residential service desks. You'll go then to your residential service desk to get checked in, and you will then become an unassisted move-in, and you'll move yourself in after 6 p.m.
And so if there isn't a set time, do they still need to pick an appointment? I think folks may be confused about when they need to pick an appointment versus when they don't.
Yeah, every student actually makes a move-in reservation. There's no exception to move-in reservation, including our RAs and peer mentors. And so when we check in our RAs and peer mentors 2 weeks before we start moving our students in, they will also select a move-in time using move-in reservation. The move-in reservation is intended to create smooth flow through the office spaces or for our unload zones. And so if every single RA moved in at 12 p.m. on the day that we start checking them in that Sunday, we would have a traffic jam and people would be frustrated and they wouldn't have access to an elevator. So every single student, no matter what category you are, a student staff member, an early arrival, a conference transition band person, a student moving in over Labor Day weekend, choosing to move over Labor Day weekend, or a student who's moving in on one of our assisted move-in days, every single student will make a move-in reservation.
Don, this is always one of my favorite questions. How big of a car can we bring?
Well, we've seen it all. We've seen horse trailers, we've seen RVs, we've seen Uncle Joe's bakery van. I would say instead of asking me how big the car can be, I'm going to ask back, do you really need all that? And so students, in my experience, and the Family to Family Facebook page has been echoing this the last several days, and so I appreciate those parents. Um, you're gonna bring too much stuff, even if you think you're not. And so a standard SUV full brim to brim is really a lot. That's a lot of stuff to bring. Every room has furniture in it. I saw many parents yesterday talking about how they bought all this stuff for their student and most of it came home unused. And so be talking with your student about what they think they need. What you think they need might not be what they think they need. We will unload one vehicle even if it has a Thule on top. But our experience as people who've been doing move in and move out for over a decade is that people bring way too much stuff that just really isn't necessary.
Mhm. So can you talk to us about Southwest specifically, and their move-in reservations? How does that work?
So it works the same as everybody. So if you are moving into Southwest, you live in a Southwest tower, you are assigned a move-in time. If your student is moving in on day 1, day 2, or day 3, you will see an assigned time because we use a professional moving company. If your student lives anywhere else in Southwest, in any one of our low rises, your student will see at the time their move-in reservation starts on August 12th, available half-hour time slots, and your student will pick from the half-hour time slots that are available to them, and that will be when you should plan to arrive to campus. Southwest is no different than any other residential area on campus. We move all of our residential areas in the same way, using the same process. It is just a more densely populated area of campus.
Mhm. So are there any tips for our international families that you would mention?
Mhm. International students, for the most part, will arrive as early arrivals. We do receive a list from IPO with students who are registered for their orientation program. We will have a small team of golf cart drivers available at Brommery that day. That's where the orientation is stationed. And our team will help international students move their belongings, which are not usually as plentiful as our non-international students. And so it's usually a couple of pieces of luggage and a big backpack. And we'll take those students directly to their residential service desk so that they can get their key and then to their residence hall so they can move in. As far as parents attending orientation and what's available to them during that time, if they're specifically bringing their student to campus, I don't have a lot of information about what's being planned for parents.
Yeah, so there are a few things that the International Programs Offices are planning. So there's a family lunch, and that is really the biggest thing that they plan. There's an opportunity for families to meet different administrators. But if there are other specific things for international programs, you would need to email the IPO office, and they can help you.
Mhm.
Can you talk about storage for bikes?
Mhm. Every building on every residence hall on our campus has bike racks to secure your bike. Most of them are outdoors, right outside the front door of the residence hall. I would strongly encourage you to register your bike with UMPD and bring a good lock. Of course, you probably already own one if you own a bike. There is one exception to that. When we built Honors College, there is an indoor bike storage room there in that complex. But again, most bike storage is outdoors, right outside the front door.
So when you talked about it being warm, you suggested fans. Can we put the fans in the windows? Can we bring a portable AC unit? What are our options there?
I'm really glad you asked that. You may not bring a portable AC unit. AC units are installed in residence hall rooms without AC through our medical accommodation process. And so if you believe that you are qualified for that, your student should be registering through the medical accommodations process that the assignment office administers. And then that would be installed once we receive an accommodation. I do suggest that students bring 2 fans, one that oscillates and one that, yes, can be put in the window. It may need to be put in front of the window. You know, again, our window types vary widely across campus, but certainly pulling in cooler air at night is a strategy to keep the room cool. Another strategy to keep your students' room cool when they're not at home during the day is to close the windows and draw the blinds or curtains for that room so that the sunlight is not warming that room up while they're away.
I think this is a really kind question, but can we tip the movers?
That is so kind, and we discourage that. The students that are working for us are paid to help move in students, and they are choosing to do that because they want to give back to their UMass community. And the professional moving company that we utilize, as wonderful as they are, we are already paying for that service. And so we very much appreciate that question, but please no.
Can you talk to us about lofting kits and how families get those and what they might be used for, also what they are?
Yep. So those are an additional set of bed ends that will raise the bed up to what I think is a pretty high height, so that you can put usually a desk underneath to make more floor space in the room. What I have experienced with most students is that the captain's height of the bed, that's the height that we set the bed at move-in, is plenty of storage for things to be placed under, bins or stackable bins, things like that. But if the 2 roommates or roommates, triple roommates, do want to loft a bed, then they will need to determine where those lofting kit materials are in their specific residence hall. Go there, get them, disassemble their beds a bit, and reassemble them. Please bring a rubber mallet hammer with you. We do not provide those. You do need that rubber mallet hammer to tap the metal hooks out of their present location and then reset them into a lofted location. Quite honestly, I think lofting the bed as a parent is a lot of work to do for not a lot of payoff. And so the materials are definitely available to you if your student's a returning student and they know they want to do that, then go for it. But it's a lot of effort to make space in the room where in most cases it really isn't necessary.
Can you talk to us about fire safety? Do students have fire drills in the residence halls? Kind of how does that work? What are the things they need to know?
I sure can. There will be one fire drill in every residence hall within the first couple of weeks of the semester. Students are expected to evacuate anytime the building is in alarm. They do check every room and you can be cited if you fail to evacuate. There are fire extinguishers on every floor in every residence hall. There are pull stations to put the building into alarm if you do experience a fire situation and need for the building to evacuate. And there are smoke detectors and sprinkler heads in every single student room, suite, or apartment. And as I've indicated, the sprinkler heads are highly sensitive. Several years ago, two roommates were just hanging out, tossing a little Nerf football back and forth to each other. The Nerf football went awry and it tapped the sprinkler head and it put the whole room into sprinkler mode. All of the belongings in that room were covered with what is rusty water. It is water that is sitting in the sprinkler system ready to activate, and about a dozen rooms adjacent to their room were also experienced water damage because water will begin to seep under the door in other student room doors. And so sprinkler heads are meant to be highly sensitive. We want that in a real fire situation, but students who are tap them by mistake or for whatever for a reason that I would never understand, hanging something from a sprinkler head. If you set the sprinkler head into motion, your parents' homeowners insurance will be responsible for all of the damages that are created by that. If there is a true fire that is it is necessary for the sprinklers to go into action, that is why we had them installed.
So for the BIOS program, is there any need in scheduling for a move-in time, or do parents just come and unload their cars during the allowed time?
So the BIOS program will transition very early in the morning on August 26th between 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. They will receive their fall room key during that hour window. They are here for several days in advance of that. And then my understanding is that BIOS has some infrastructure in place to to assist students to move the belongings they had with them for the short program to their fall assignment, and parents of BIOS students should plan to come either later that day on the 27th or after 6 p.m. day 1, day 2, or day 3.
So Don, this question is specific, but I think you can answer in a more general way. Is like the question was, what is the weight limit for the beds? I don't think that you probably know the exact weight limit, but I think we could probably talk to about the varying sizes of our students and their ability to use these beds.
Right. All of our beds are extra long twins. I don't recall any information about a weight limit, but if you do have concerns regarding that, I would say that you should probably get in touch with the assignment office about a medical accommodation if you believe that the bed that we provide may not suffice as far as a weight limit.
Okay, thank you so much for saying that. I also want to ask, well, I'm going to answer this question for folks. I've seen a couple questions about this recording being available. Our recordings are always available, usually the same day. We'll upload them to YouTube, to our Facebook, as well as our website, which is umass.edu/parents. And you'll be able to see all of the information there. And so if you need to review this for any reason, you can do that. Don, if someone needed a different size bed, what would they need to do?
They would go through the accommodation process through the assignment office. And so that is something too, that if you have not initiated that process, it is August 8th. We are 20 days out from students beginning to arrive through our assisted move-in process of day 1. And the process will take more than just a phone call. There is medical documentation that will need to be provided to the university. It will need to go through several procedures and processes. And so if you do believe that is your student and they are eligible for that, that is something you should take action on today.
Mhm. Are there any beds that are automatically bunked?
Yes, we automatically bunk corner rooms in the southwest towers. Those rooms are a little bit smaller than the Z rooms on the rest of the corridor. And we have found that by bunking those beds, students have more room to move around to set up their desks and other open space. Students can certainly unbunk those beds easily. It will take up most of the floor space in the room to do so. So we've been preemptively bunking corner room beds for many, many years. And then the second type of room that will have an automatically bunked bed are students who are assigned to what are called economy triples. In order to accommodate three students in a design double that has been converted into an economy triple, 2 of those beds have to be bunked and cannot be unbunked. There's just not enough room. We would have not bunked them if there was enough room to leave them unbunked in an economy triple. Economy triples are a lower rate than design doubles and singles. And so if you're not sure if your student is in an economy triple, you can either check your bill or go have your student go onto the floor plans that they need to access using their net ID to see the designation of their triple room. There are some design triples in Southwest, so not every triple room in Southwest is an economy triple.
Can you talk generally about the restrooms in the bathrooms in different residence halls? Are they gender specific? Are they gender inclusive?
Mhm.
What can folks kind of expect there?
Mhm. In most of our residence halls, the bathrooms are sex designated male or female. We do have listed on our website under our gender inclusive housing a link to all of the residence halls that have a single user private bathroom or 2 or 3 or 4. Some of our residence halls just have one, but some have multiple single user gender inclusive bathrooms. And then in 2 locations, Baker House and Webster House, we have multi-stall gender inclusive bathrooms because we have gender inclusive housing affiliated with those spaces, and students are able to use those multi-stall bathrooms regardless of how they identify.
So this is a fun question. Can you talk to us about Wi-Fi in the residence halls?
Mhm.
I know you think a lot about this.
So students will use the campus's Wi-Fi while here. I know that from many years of experience is highly reliable. If you are experiencing connectivity issues, you would want to go to the UMass IT page and follow the instructions for how to connect your device. And they have robust help desk hours, and they are able to assist if you are having trouble with Wi-Fi.
Mhm. All right, Don. So we are right at time, but if
Perfect.
folks only remembered one thing, what would you want them to remember?
Yes, thank you. So first of all, I would love for you to remember that we're super excited that you're coming in under a month to move in and start your experience here at UMass. We believe we've done a lot of work to make that process smooth for you. I know that there are still some unanswered questions in our Q&A, and so if we did not get to your question, please email us at our residentialservices@umass.edu mailbox. And the one walkaway that I would want people to have is have a plan. Sit down as a family, talk about what needs to go in the car, what maybe doesn't need to go in the car and can come later in the semester. Review the routes and the directions that we have established for getting to campus, and then after being checked in, navigating to the residence hall in the parking location. And reminder, we do only unload one car at move-in.
Mhm. Well, Don, thank you so much for being here today and for offering these 2 webinars for our students and families. I know that they have been super helpful, and so I hope that folks have been able to get the answers to their questions. As always, you can reach out to our offices. I added the email address for residential services. You can also always email us at parents@umass.edu, and we will certainly answer your questions. This recording will be available later today on our Facebook, also on our YouTube and our website. And thank you all so much for being here. We really appreciate it, and we hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.